Hello, good evening, Karen. How are you? Is everything okay?
Hi, teacher. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you. And you?
Great. That's great to know.
How are
I'm fine.
you?
I'm still sick, but I think I'm going to get better. I don't know. I hope so. If I die, it's going to be clear. But no, I'm doing good, Karen. Thanks for asking. It's just that my throat is still bugging me a little bit. All right. I'm coughing, but I took some medicine and I think I feel better now. I hope that for Monday I'm going to be totally fine. But that one, how are you? Is everything okay for you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So sorry for my clothes now. I'm like this, very informal now, Karen, but it's because I want to take care of myself. All right?
No way.
Okay, good. So I was I'm going to start with the following, please, Karen. We have to first go to Pearson. I think that everything is clear with Pearson, and remember that we finished with Unit 3. All right, Unit 3 is done. We covered everything that we need to cover for Unit 3, and it was this: present perfect and simple past, models of ability, and possessive pronoun. Right, so we finished with all of that. It means that you're ready for completing the test. You still have time, but I'm going to assign the quiz now. All right, but you're going to have until Tuesday to take this quiz if you want. But again, if you're ready, I think you are, you can take it before. So I'm assigning the third quiz. Then again, it's going to start now and it's going to be until Tuesday. All right, that's the day in which you should take the quiz, but you can take it before if you want. Okay, 15 minutes as always, and that's going to be it. All right, and we're also going to do something, actually not yet, but remember that just by showing you the calendar, we have until Tuesday to finish everything, but we did everything already. So it means that we are already in Unit 4. We're going to use Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to finish Unit 4. And actually, perhaps on Wednesday, we're going to finish everything. And Friday is going to be only for review and extra practice. Okay, it means that you're going to be ready to take the final exam even on Wednesday or Thursday maximum. It means that also I'm going to sign the final exam, if not Wednesday, I'm going to do it on Thursday. So you have Friday, Saturday, Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the last day for taking the final exam. But again, you should be ready by Wednesday or Thursday already. Okay, that's something I wanted to show you before going to our lesson, Karen. Do you have any questions about Pearson or about the calendar? Let me know, please.
And the final exam, I'm going to do in the uh, person.
Yes, everything according to executive English, everything is evaluated on Pearson. So yes, there's one test I'm going to show you now. That is this, here, Model A test, it says, right? So this is a test that has everything, okay? Everything from Unit 1, 2, 3, and 4, but in only one test. This is going to be 60 minutes, but again, everything is going to be on Pearson, and the structure of this final test, Karen, is the same structure as you completing the quizzes. All right, so everything is in the platform. All right, good. So if there are no more questions about it, then we're going to be closing Pearson until next week, and we're going to continue working. This is the lesson that we're going to be covering today. And again, this lesson is already part of Unit 4. Yes, tell me, Karen.
Teacher, I think that we didn't finish the
Okay, the previous lesson, the possessive pronouns. This
yes.
one over here, right? Okay, yes. I think I saw the marker over here. Yes, you were right. We took a look at these elements and we didn't see yet how to use these possessive pronouns, right? So let's take a look at that. First, let's remember, please, the possessive pronouns. You're right, sorry. I think it's because I'm sick that I'm forgetting everything.
No worry.
Read the list, please, of possessive pronouns, Kevin.
Okay, possessive pronouns replace the object possession, that is mine, that is hers, it is theirs. The possessive pronouns are mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs, in its.
Very good. And remember that these possessive pronouns can be objects and can be subjects, can be part of sentences and can be part of questions, right? Remember the example from yesterday? It was very weird, right? The location of the verb. But remember that it's is not a verb, it's is a subject or it's a noun. So if you're going to say it's is, it is correct, right? Because it's in this case is possession. All right, so let's remember that one. So we know this. That's the last slide we covered. Let's go to option one. In option one, we're going to use these possessive pronouns as objects. This is the common usage. All right, so let's read this one, please, as well, Karen.
Okay, if the object possession is the mentioned, it goes before the possessive pronoun and it is separated by a
Yes,
verb.
separated, as this is a T, right? Remember, anytime you have a T, you make the ED, so it's going to be separated.
Separated by a verb. That pencil is mine. This car is hers. Those guitars are ours.
Okay, thank you. Only two details, actually three, but two are important here. The other one is just little by little. The stress of this word is going to be here in guitars in the next part. Okay, so the stress is in the second part. Let's read this one more time, please. Guitars.
Guitars.
Good. And this is very similar to horas, right? So it's going to be hours. All right, so let's repeat this one, please. Hours.
Ours.
Hours. Good. Now, the other one that we're going to be working little by little is this TH. It's not bad when you say that or these or those, all right? But it's better if you change that a little bit by that th sound, like that, this, those, okay? It's more natural. So let's repeat those three words, please, Karen. That, this, those.
That, this, those.
Those, exactly, all right? Little by little, again, it's not a big change, but it adds something and it sounds way more natural. So good. Let's work. All right, this is not hard, but I want you to work this first part so that we see the changes that we have here. I think that we didn't start this yet. If that's the case, yes, we're still over here. So this final presentation is going to be part of Unit 3. The link is going to be in the chat as always, Karen. There you go. And we're going to do something very simple. Using this logic, okay, try to use different objects, okay? Don't say pencil, car, guitars, but tell me two sentences with singular objects, okay? And you decide what possessive pronoun, and two sentences with plural objects, and you decide what personal pronoun you use. All right, 4 sentences in total, 2 with singular, 2 with plural, and with the possessive pronouns that you want. All right, let's do it, please. All right, so if you finished, also let me know. I'm going to wait 1 more minute, but if you finish, we can check it
I think I finished.
now. Okay, so let's take a look at that. All right, sometimes I give more time, but again, anytime that you feel that everything is done, you can let me know. So let's read your 4 examples, please, Gary.
Okay. Um, that that house is hers. This cell phone is mine. These shoes are his. These balls are theirs.
There's great. I have no observations. I think that you can notice also that this is not hard to use. We only have to be careful, all right, with the position of the words. But everything is working great. That house, this cell phone, these shoes, and you can also use the other way, right? Those. But any of those works very well. Thank you, Karen. So let's continue working. The first option then said that we can use that as an object, and we already did it, so it's done. Let's read this second option. Sorry, again, my mouse. Let's read the second option, please, Kat.
Okay. If you want to mention the object possession, use of to use it before the adjective pronoun. Only some cases it's not common. He is a friend of mine. It is a problem of theirs.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. So this structure is something that we're not going to practice. This is just for knowing. All right. Why? Because again, it's not common. Only in few cases, like for example, talking about friends or objects, very close objects, right? So you say, he's a friend of mine. Okay, he's a colleague of mine. But of course, it's better if you say directly, he is my colleague or he is my friend. Okay, so it's preferable. In most cases, it's going to be like that, Karen. You're not going to say every time, it is a problem of theirs. No, you're going to say, it is their problem, right? Their problem with an adjective pronoun. But in this case, or sorry, a possessive adjective. But in this case, it's just another way. Usually, again, is used with friends, with problems, with travel, with details that are very close to one. All right. And if you remember again, I told you about that song, right? It says, "Sweet child of mine." It's like that's a girl of mine. Okay, a sweet child of mine. And again, it's just to give more emphasis that it's yours, that it's something that belongs to you, quotation marks, all right, belongs to you, but it's just for that emphasis. All right. Again, this is just for knowing. This is the exact order. I don't know if you have questions about this structure that it's very rarely used, Karen. Let me know, please.
No, everything's okay.
Okay, good. Let's go to the next one because then we're going to see the subject, and that's the most important part. But now, here we have some exceptions. Remember that we cannot use these words with objects, right? It's incorrect to say hair's pencil, but you can mention first the object and next to it the possessive pronoun. So let's read about these exceptions, please, Gabby.
Uh, the possessive pronouns can go next to the object in some questions like these ones. Is that pencil hers? Are those books yours? Another way, the most common to ask those questions, is that her pencil? Are those your books?
Good. And again, right, as you can see, this is also an alternative. It's more common if you ask, is that her pencil instead of, is that pencil hers? It's only more emphasis on the idea that it belongs to a girl. All right. But again, sorry, just for practicing, please, Karen, let's write again only 2 questions. But first, 2 questions with this order. And then you show me what is the most common order.
Mhm.
All right. So if we have them, we're going to take a look at them again. Karen, again, it's two questions in this order, different order to put emphasis on the possessive pronoun, and then the usual order, that is her pencil instead of pencil hers. Okay, so let's take a look at what you wrote, please, Karen, before continuing. I'm going to go to that document. And here we are. Let's read those examples, please.
Is that dog yours? Are those pants his? Is that your dog? Are those his pants?
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. And again, do you have any questions so far? Let me know, please, Karen.
No.
All right. Let's take a look then at the next part. And this is going to be kind of the last one before we can go. We have this one and we have the question with whose. We know that this is a noun. And when something is a noun, anything, it can be used as subject or object. Here, we're going to use this as subject, as we saw in the previous class. But now we're going to write examples. So let's read this one, please, Karen, as a subject.
Possessive pronouns can be used as a subject in context. Those are my shoes. Hers are over there. This is my books. Yours is in your backpack.
Thank you very much. So in this case, hers and yours are subjects in these objects. Hers, in this case, is something plural. Why? Because you're talking about shoes. And here, yours, in this case, is singular because you're talking about a book. Right? So it's important to have a context here, Karen. If you don't have a context for her or for hers, sorry, and for yours, it means that we don't know exactly what we're talking about. We don't know if it's plural, singular, or what's the object we're referring to. So a good idea, if you want to use these words as subjects, Karen, is that you have a context before. Okay, try to have a context before, and after that specific context, you can use these possessive pronouns as subjects in the next idea. All right, so again, it can be, as you can see, they can be plural or they can be singular. It doesn't matter. So let me know, please, first, if you have any questions. This is going to be kind of the last example for this lesson. If not, as in this example, let's only write two examples, please, Karen. First, let's give the context, and then let's use the possessive pronoun as subject. Okay, the same in the second part. And also let's follow the same idea, please, Karen. One of those examples is going to be in singular, and the other one is going to be in plural. And also, if you can, try to use different objects to the objects that you used in the previous examples. All right, let me know, please, if you have questions before working those examples, Karen.
Teacher, in the first sentence, if I say this is my book, and the second part, I use it is.
It's, if you use it's, then I'm going to suppose that you're talking about the book, and you're going to talk about a part of the book, and it's possible, right? Yes, tell me.
Her is over there.
One more time, please. What is the question? One more time, the last part, please, Karen.
Okay. If the first sentence I change and I say, this is my book, and then the second part says, hers are over there, but if the first part says, this is my book, the second one can be, hers is over there?
Yes, it is possible. Because you're just saying that, though that's your possession first, right? This is my book. Then you say hers, it means her book, in other words, is over there. All right, so it doesn't matter what you use, Karen. It can be singular, plural, it can be shoes, but the idea is that you're telling that hers, her possession, her book or her books, it doesn't matter, are in a certain place or have a certain characteristic.
Okay.
Okay, good. So let's do it, please. Two examples, one singular, one plural, using these possessive pronouns as subjects. All right, so if it's done, let's take a look at what you got, Karen, so that we can continue working with the last part, but that's only going to be some questions, which is whose, all right? Whose is the question, the WH question for, let's say, possession, okay? Specifically possession. So let's read first your ideas, please, Karen.
That is my cell phone. His is in the chair. This is her laptop. Yours is with the teacher. Those are his apples. Hers are over there. These are my shoes. Ours and ours are here.
Thank you very much, Karen. And again, I think everything is correct. I think these corrections are weird from Google. Why? Because sometimes they want to say cell phone is going to be separated, but not always. All right, cell phone can be together as well, or also with a dash, right? That one. So it's not a mistake. And also here, he, right? He is in the chair. That correction doesn't make sense. All right. So sometimes Google, again, as I told you before, here, right, for example, and in other cases, they try to see the best option. All right, but here we're learning possessive pronouns, and it is correct. If you say his is in the chair, as this one, hers are over there, it is correct. Sometimes it's like this because you know that his can be not only possession, it can also be, sorry, possessive pronoun, it can also be adjective possessive. All right, so you say his car or his cell phone is in the chair. That's why sometimes also they have that mistake, but no, it is correct, and everything else I think is working very good, Karen. I have no observations. Let me know, please, if you have any questions before going to the next and to the last part.
No.
All right, so let's finish with whose. Whose is the WH word that we use for possession, right? And whenever we want to talk about possession and we don't know who is the owner, we can use whose to try to know that. All right, so let's read this slide, please, to finish, Gary.
To ask questions about possession, use whose. Whose car is that? It is mine. Whose cell phone is this? It's hers. Whose pencils are these? There are ours. Ours.
Correct, right? So in other words, it's like asking, who is the owner of this car or of that car, right? Who's the owner of this cell phone? Who are the owners or who is the owner of these pencils, right? But instead of using all those words, in English, you're just going to use whose. That is similar to the quién, all right? But only whose. Whose car, whose cell phone, whose pencils. If it's singular, just locate the word and then the verb to be in singular. If it's plural, locate the word in plural and then the verb to be in the plural form. And in the answer, you can answer whatever you want, Ken. Here you use this one to practice, right, what we were learning. But you can say, it is Karen's car. Okay, it is my father's car. It is his car. It is my car, right? So you can use any possession word over here. Mine is only an option, right? But the main idea here is the structure of whose. That one more time is only whose plus the object that can be singular or plural. Okay. Give me 1 second, please. Good. So plus the object that can be singular or plural plus the verb to be in the form that it has to be. All right, so car plus the verb to be and plus one reference of, you can say, how near that object is from you, right? That is not near from you. This is near from you. Those objects are near from you. Those, the objects are not near from you. All right, just that one. Do you have any questions about whose? Let me know, Ken.
No.
All right, the same idea. In this case, only two questions, one affirmative, oh sorry, one singular, one plural, and try to give me different answers, please, Karen. In this case, instead of using mine, try to use different possession words, as I was telling you, right? Karen's car, or my father's car, or any other possession word that you know. Okay, let's do it, please. Two questions plus their answers. All right, so let's take a look at what we got. The 2 minutes. Whose is the last part. Let's read your question and the possible answers, please, Gabby.
Whose books are those? Are Marcos' books? Whose ball is this? Is that my brother?
Good. Only one thing is missing in the last part, because if you say only
And
is my brother, right? It's like is your brother. The ball is your brother, right? But you have to say that is part if it is a possession for your brother, right? So it's going to be
my
my
brother.
brothers. My brothers with apostrophe s. All right, with apostrophe s. And also one thing, let me see over here. As you can see, we always need to use the subject. Okay, if it's going to be singular, it's going to be with it. If it's going to be plural, it's going to be with their. All right, because if we only use are, sorry, it's going to be incorrect. Okay, so here it's going to be their, right? So it can be a contraction. So it can be they apostrophe, sorry, apostrophe are. So they are Marcus or Marcus's books, right? And in this case, the same. Instead of it, you have to say it is, and then you don't say that. Or if you want to do that, then you need to change the order, and it's going to be that is. Okay, because as this is the answer, it has to be in question, sorry, in sentence order, right? That is the subject, is the verb, and then the rest is the complement. And also this one, as you have a question mark, the question mark is a punctuation mark. And if you have a punctuation mark, it means that you don't need another period after that one. All right, just the punctuation mark. So in total, it's going to be they are Marcos books. Very good. And here you need the period, right? And that is my brother's. It means that belongs to your brother. Okay, but because if you say only that is my brother, it's going to be incorrect because you're saying that the ball is your brother, right? But you want to say that the ball is a possession of your brother, right? So that's why you need to say my brothers. Or if you want, and you want to be very clear, this is not obligatory, you can say ball. That is my brother's ball. But it's optional. Also here is optional if you want, Karen. You can simply say they are Marcos. And I understand and we understand that you're talking about the books. Okay, so optionally you can mention the object, but the minimum that you can do is placing the apostrophe plus the s, and then it's going to be clear that it's possession. All right, I don't know if you have questions about that, Karen. Let me know, please.
No.
Okay, so just to practice and have that in mind, let's read one more time, please, the questions plus the answers.
Whose books are those? There are Marcos' books. Whose ball is this? That is my brother's ball.
And optionally, you can say simply, they are Marcos and that is my brother's, right? And it's possible. Sometimes you say that one also, right? If you imagine that you're going to go with your friend. So tell me a name of one of your friends, Karen.
Javier.
One more time, please.
Javier.
Javier. All right. So with this rule that I'm explaining here, how can you say that you are going to his house, but using this structure in the answer?
I'm going to Javier's house.
Or simply, I'm going to Javier's. Okay, that's enough. You don't need to say house. If you say Javier's, we understand that you are going to his place. All right. So also you say that one, right? I'm going to his place, or I'm going to Javier's. I'm going to Karen's. All right. And if you analyze, sometimes they have those names in the United States, the name of some restaurants, right? It's the name of a person with an S, right? And they say, I'm going to Marcos. And they say that's the name of the restaurant. Okay, so that's it. With that, bless you, Karen. I hope that you didn't contagious you. So, do you have any questions about this structure, Karen? Let me know, please.
No.
All right. So it means that this is clear. In general, this is not a complex lesson, but it can be confusing sometimes. But I think that it's clear how we need to use my and mine, right? The difference between those ones, her and hers, your and yours. It's not that it's plural, it's that you use or you don't use the object after that. So with that finished, first we're also going to close this classwork file because we're going to use a new one now. And it's Unit 4. All right, so now officially, I thought that we finished, but we were missing that one. But now officially we finish with Unit 3. It means that everything is done in that unit. And I want to take advantage because it's important that you have more time for the last part, Gavin. All right, that's why today we're going to start with this lesson, tag questions, that can be interesting for remembering the tenses. You're going to see how. So the link is in the chat. Once again, this is a new link for this new unit. And this is going to be the first lesson that we are going to cover. Let me know, please, if you have questions or comments before starting with this one, okay?
No.
All right. So the main let's say lesson, the main content here is tag questions. Negative questions is an addition. All right. We can take a look at that or not. It's something that we can do or we cannot do. It doesn't matter. But with tag questions, we need to be sure, all right, about the tenses that we know. But first, I want to know what you understand by tag questions, Karen. If you read tag question, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Or perhaps you know what tag questions are. Let me know, please.
I don't know what's the meaning of tag is. No, I don't.
Okay. Tag, usually when you have clothes, right, near to your neck, right, down here, you have your tag, right? That's the tag of your clothes, right? And in the tag, you have the size, you have the material, right? That's a tag. In your clothes here,
Okay.
you have the tag. All right, that's a tag. Also, you can have tags here in your chest, like here. If you work and that tag says your name, right? For example, here, Karen Rojas. All right, that's your tag. So it's a type of etiqueta. All right, but in that way, all right, that's a tag. Here we say that it's a tag question because there is something attached in form of a question after one sentence. All right, and again, it's weird this way of calling that to that sentence, but try to understand that again. Okay, after one sentence, you have something, you have a tag in form of a question at the end of that sentence, and it's going to work like this. Let's read this information, and you're going to read the example down below, and the example has something in bold letter, aren't you? That's the tag question. All right, so let's read everything, please.
Okay. Use tag questions to verify something that you believe is true. For example, if you know a person and you remember the name but you are not sure, ask the following. You are young, aren't you?
Correct, right? So this is a tag question. All right, it's like a tag in form of question at the end of one sentence and after a comma, right? So for example, if I see you on the street, Karen, right? Let's suppose that we run into each other in a party and I see you and I say, that girl's, I think I know that girl, right? And I approach to you and I ask you, right? Hey, you're Karen, aren't you? So what can you answer to that one? If I'm in a party and I approach to you and I ask or I tell you, hey, you're Karen, aren't you? What do you answer to that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, are? I don't know.
Huh? It's like a very simple yes no question, right? How do you answer a yes no question with the verb to be?
Yes, I am.
Exactly the same here. Okay, it's exactly the same. So you only say, yes, I am. And you say, and you're Luis, right? And you say, yes, I am. And you will start talking. Okay, so you only answer to a tag question as if it was a yes, no question. If you have the verb to be, use the verb to be. If you have auxiliaries, do, does, use the auxiliaries. If you have did, use did. If you have will, use will. All right. It depends on what is the auxiliary that you use in the tag question. But again, the purpose for using that question, Karen, and again, I don't know what happened to my mouse, but the only purpose for using that one, Karen, is that you are going to verify the information, that you are almost sure that it is true, but you just want to verify. Okay, that's the only intention that you have. You want to verify the information. That's when you use tag questions. Why? Because the translation of the tag question is this, Karen. Okay, so if you say, you are John, aren't you? Or you are Karen, aren't you? It's the same if I say, you are Karen, right? You are Karen, correct? Right? And you say, yes, I am. And we continue. All right, but there's a part that can be tricky about tag questions. And that's what we need to learn. And we're going to learn step by step. Okay, no, not that one yet. This one. So first, we're going to do this step by step, Karen. In the new file, all right, in the new file, please, you're going to write one idea in present, okay, in simple present, one idea in past, everything affirmative, okay, one idea in past, and one idea in future. All right, we're going to do that first. Only ideas, not tag questions, okay? Only the ideas. 3 sentences, one in simple present with other verbs, okay? Not the verb to be. With other verbs, don't use the verb to be. One in the simple past with other verbs, don't use the verb to be. And one in future. It can be with will. Okay, let's do it and we're going to continue.
Okay.
All right, we're going to see how you're doing. We're doing this because we're going to see how we're going to work on a tag question part by part. All right, good. In that one, the only thing is with the Z. Okay, Brazil with a Z. Okay, good. But let's read your examples, please, Karen.
Mariana plays the piano. He did his homework. He will travel to Brazil. Brazil.
And as this is with a Z, right, then that's why it's going to sound a little bit like vibrating, right, like Brazil. Good. Now, what is the negative form? Down below, just copy. I'm going to do it. Look, I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it here. So, how can you change those sentences into negative? Okay, only do that, please, Karen. Change the sentences into negative, please.
Okay.
All right, good. And I don't know what happened with this one, just the apostrophe. Good. Now, I'm going to give you not 1 minute or 2 minutes. Try to add, well, I'm not going to show you yet, perhaps you already realized, but to those 6 sentences, try to add a tag question at the end. Okay, try to see what is the best way to ask something at the end. All right, do it for each of them, please. And again, at the beginning, I'm not going to say how you have to do it. I'm going to do it afterwards. But I want to see what is the logic that you will follow. Because if you analyze the example one more time, Karen, over here, the example was, you are John, aren't you? Okay, so try to see how could it be then the tag question for those sentences. All right, analyze and try. 1 minute, and we're going to then go to see ourselves.
I'm writing or
Yes,
only.
try
Okay.
to write the tag question according to what you believe is the best option. All right, so there you go. Now, before checking if it's going to be correct or incorrect, we're going to do something, but I think everything is good except for one detail, okay? Two of the sentences, but it's the same sentence in affirmative or negative. Okay, but let's take a look. To review that one, let's go to step number 2. In step number 2, actually, let's read this with you, please, Karen. Read this information over
here. Indefinitive, the tense are remember the auxiliaries you need for that tense. Luis liked pasta, simple present, do and does. Mary didn't like that pasta. Simple past did.
Good. Let's repeat this word, please. This is going to be identify.
Yes, identify.
Identify. Good. Or you can also read like identify. Okay, but it's to identify something. Good. So identify the tense. Luis likes pasta. This is simple present tense with other verbs, and the auxiliaries are do and does. Right? Even if you don't see here do and does, the auxiliaries are do and does. Right? There's no verb to be, and there cannot be a verb to be. Right? Like you then made the correction yourself, right? When you were writing the negative form, instead of isn't, then you never say isn't if there is no the verb to be, right? The same here. In past is always going to be did. It's like if you say, for example, Mary wasn't like that pasta, right? That's also going to be incorrect, right? So we only have to be careful with the simple tenses. Why? Because the simple tenses have auxiliaries that we don't see, right? They have auxiliaries that we don't see, but we need to remember those auxiliaries. So in this case, and let's go back to your elements here. just to go little by little, Karen. In number one, Marina plays the piano. What tense is this? Is this simple present, present continuous, future? What tense is that?
Simple present.
Good. So if it's simple present with other verbs, what are the two auxiliaries that we use for this tense?
Do or does.
Correct. Good. So that's enough. Okay. Do or does. What about this one? What are the auxiliaries that we use? Did here is a verb, right? But what is the auxiliary that we use with simple past?
Also did.
Also did. In this case, it's a coincidence, right? Because did can be a verb, did can be an auxiliary. What about this? What is the auxiliary in simple future?
Will not.
Will not is the negative, right? But the auxiliary, if you realize, is only will, right? So you know now, the auxiliaries in simple present do does, in simple past did, in future will. Okay, those are the auxiliaries. The auxiliaries are those main words that you use that tell you what tense you are in. Because of will, you know that you are in future. Because of did, you know that you are in past. Because of do or does, you know that you are in present. Okay, that's why it's important. But why do we need to know that? Because we're going to wait. That's in step 4. And actually, it's also used here. Let's read the step 3, please, Karen.
Write a comma and the auxiliary in the opposite form. Negative, affirmative, affirmative, negative. Luis likes pasta, doesn't. Mary didn't like that pasta did.
Good. And you followed the rule. I think you did affirmative, negative, negative, affirmative. You did it great. But I think the only mistake, if you realize, is in this case, right? As this is Luis likes, this is third person for simple present. It means that the auxiliary is not going to be isn't, it is going to be doesn't, right? But if it's first person or plural, it's going to be don't, right? So it depends on the subject. So with that idea here, Karen, what would it be the mistakes or the corrections here? What do you say?
The first one is Maria plays the piano, doesn't she?
Okay, very good. And what about number 4?
That Maria doesn't play the piano, does she?
Correct. Exactly. So you always have to use the auxiliary, okay? Only the auxiliary. And the big trick is this one, Karen. If you don't see the verb to be in the example, then it means that it's never going to be in negative and it's never going to be in questions, right? Only the auxiliary. So we're going to work on that change, all right? So it's Marina plays the piano, doesn't she? And Marina doesn't play the piano, does she? Okay, we're good so far. That is perfect. And the last step is that we always use pronouns. Okay, but let's read this one with you as well, please, Karen.
Okay. Write the pronoun and the question mark. Peter, he, Helen, she, the party, it. Luis likes pasta, doesn't he? Mary didn't like that pasta, did she?
Very well. And I think you also did that, right? Over here, you have, for example, Marina, and you didn't say, doesn't Marina, right? No, you say, doesn't she, right? We always use the pronouns. And I think you know that one again. So it is very good. Now, before going to the exceptions, actually, we're going to do something else, Karen. But first, let's work on those corrections, and I'm going to give you some elements, okay? Correct those 2 examples, please. And in the meantime, I'm going to write 2 ideas, and you're going to tell me the tag questions for them. Sorry. Now, here we have these examples, Karen. And it's, I have a cat. I have had a cat. She has a dog. She has had a dog. And they had had a dog. Okay, all of the sentences are correct. And all of them are, well, in different tenses. So you have to tell me what is the tag question for them. All right. What is the tag question for number one, for the first
It don't no. I think don't I
one? Okay, let's add that one. All right. What about the next one?
haven't.
Okay. The next one over here.
Doesn't she?
All right. The following one, please.
Hasn't she?
One more time, please.
Hasn't she?
All right. And the last one, please.
Haven't they?
Okay. All right. There you go. Good. So again, here we're going to have corrections because that's not the way in which we use that tense. Okay, that's the past perfect, but it is correct grammatically. But you never use the past perfect alone. All right, we're going to learn that later on. But yes, you did great. Why? Because in I have a cat, the auxiliary is not have. Right? The auxiliary is do or does. So don't. In I have had, the auxiliary is have. It's visible. So we only need to make that negative. Here, we don't see the auxiliary. That's why we use the auxiliary do or does. Here, we see the auxiliary has. So we only make that negative. And here, we also see the auxiliary, right? That is had. Had is only the verb conjugated. So it's going to be negative. All right. And again, they want to change that one because here we don't need to use past perfect. It's not necessary. Why? Because the past perfect is the past of the past. Okay, it's for one event before another event in the past. And here we don't have another event in the past. That's why we should only use simple past. They had a dog, didn't they? All right, but this is only for the example so that we can identify the auxiliary and use that auxiliary. All right, so I think that's it. First, we're going to write some other details, but let me know if you have any questions about recognizing the auxiliaries and using the correct word here in the tag.
In the present perfect, in Spanish, how can you describe this sentence? I don't know the second. I have had a cat, haven't I?
Do you want the translation for those ones? It's like this. Yo he tenido un gato. No es así? Remember, this haven't I doesn't have a specific translation. This only means correct, right? Am I right? Okay, but again, this is like only yo he tenido un gato in the past. Tell me, Karen.
Yes, I understand the first part, but the part of the question mark haven't.
Okay, here you don't have another option. Okay, there is no other option. The other option is that you can change that to right. Okay, you can do that. That's the other option. But here you don't have any other option for tag questions. Why? Because the rule says that if the sentence is affirmative, the tag question has to be negative. If you have one auxiliary, in this case, the auxiliary is have, the auxiliary has to be in the negative form if this is affirmative, or it has to be in the affirmative form if this is negative, right? And you always use a pronoun, in this case, I. Okay, so there's no other way. And again, there's no translation. There's no translation for even don't I. There's no translation for don't I, for haven't I, for doesn't she. It's only like an expression in English, like an expression that we have in Spanish, even in Bolivia, that they say no ve. All right, that no ve doesn't make sense. All right, but that no ve is this word. All right, right, no es así, verdad, but it's only a grammar structure. All right, there's no other possibility here to say. If you say, I have had a cat, aren't I, don't I, it's incorrect. Okay, you cannot say any other structure that is not the same structure in the negative form. Okay, or actually not in the negative form, in the opposite form. All right, just that. But it always has to be with auxiliary, always in the opposite form, always with one pronoun, and always with inversion. All right, that's the only thing that I can say. I don't know if you have questions about that, Karen.
Then the answers always are just no questions in every tense.
Correct. If you have a tag question, you're going to answer that as if it was a yes/no question, right? So I have a cat, don't I? Yes, I do. But imagine, right? You don't talk to yourself, right? So you're going to say this to someone else, right? So you say, hey, you have a cat, don't you? And you're going to say, yes, I do. Right? It's a yes/no question. Or you have had a cat, haven't you? And you say, yes, I have, right? Yes, she does. Yes, she has. Yes, they had. Or in negative, no, I don't. No, I haven't. No, she doesn't. No, she hasn't. No, they hadn't. All right, so yes, you give the answer as if it was a yes/no question only. All
Okay.
right, good. So to even be clear with everything, Karen, we have these charts. We're going to read them. They are exactly the same. Yes, they are the same, but we're only going to read this because this is affirmative, negative. The other one is negative, affirmative. We don't need that one. Let's read everything we see here, please, Karen. The tense and the example.
Present simple B. She is Italian, isn't she? Present simple other verbs. They live in London, don't they? Present continuous. We are working tomorrow, aren't we? Past simple B. It was cold yesterday. Wasn't it? Past simple other verbs. He he went to the party last night, didn't he? Past continuous. We were waiting at the station, weren't we? Future simple. She will come at 6. Won't she? Modals. He can he can help. Can he?
Thank you very much. We have one more part. As you can see, those are mainly all the tenses that we know so far. Again, if you take a look, if you have the verb to be, you use the verb to be in the tag question. If not, you don't use the verb to be, and you need to think and remember what is the auxiliary, okay, or what the auxiliary is. Now, this is for present perfect because we also learned present perfect. Karen, so let's take a look at these examples, please.
You have traveled there before, haven't you? He hasn't read the book yet, has he? She has been studying it for hours, hasn't she? They haven't been paying attention, have they?
Thank you very much. So all of those are questions, or yes, tag questions with present perfect sentences, right? All of them. And we know how to use the present perfect. So that's what I want to practice now a little bit. We're only going to write 4 more ideas before going to the exceptions, Karen. But you're going to mix. 2 ideas are going to be in simple past with the expressions that you know for simple past. Remember that the simple past is specific, is definite, is finished, right? So 2 ideas, 2 tag questions with simple past, and 2 tag questions with present perfect, like in these examples. And also try to use the expressions that you remember, right? You can use yet, already, just, for, since, because this is for a period of time, for a number of times that something happens. This is indefinite and non-specific. All right, so let's try to use expressions according to that usage. So in total, 4 examples, right? 2 in the simple past and 2 in the present perfect. If you have any questions, please let me know, Karen.
No.
All right, let's do it then, please. Again, 3 to 4 minutes. If you finish before, let me know and we're going to check that.
Okay.
Okay, we check in 1 minute, actually in 40 seconds. All right, so we are on those 4 minutes. Let's take a look at what we got. Then we take a look at the exceptions. We see if everything is okay. And that's going to be it for now, right? Let's go to the examples over here. Let's read them out, please, Karen.
You played tennis two, 2 years ago, didn't you? They didn't have a pet when they were kids. Did they? She has played tennis for 3 times, hasn't she? They have already done their homework, haven't they?
Okay, thank you very much. The only detail there, remember that yesterday, not yesterday, at the previous class, you asked me about that one. But remember the rule. If you only want to mention number of times, you don't need any preposition, right? Say directly the number of times, right? I have played tennis once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and so on. 4 is for period of time, right? You need a number, but not number of times, only an extension of time. All right, so for 5 hours, for 3 weeks, for 5 days. All right, so you need days, hours, minutes, okay, extensions of time that are not separate, okay, that everything is together. And remember that you can use both if you want for clarification. And you can say, right, she has played tennis 3 times for 5 hours. Okay, that's the other way if you want to use both. Remember, you can use first the number of times, and then you can clarify only as clarification how much time it happened. All right, but again, after 4, we don't use a number of times, only a period of time. All right, I don't know if you have questions about that one, Karen. Let me know, please.
So I can say she has played tennis for 3 weeks.
It is possible. You can mention minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. It is possible. And in that idea, you're telling me that only during those 3 weeks, she has done that activity, and it's possible.
Okay. No.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. Now
All
it's
right. Okay, good. And again, but if you want to use the two together, it's going to be something like this. I'm going to show you. Again, it's a little bit weird, but it's possible. So you can say, he has read, those books or that book once for 1 hour. Okay, so if you see what I'm doing here in this example, Karen, I'm using both, but I cannot use them together. I can use them all only for extra clarification. Okay, so first I'm saying number of times, once, okay, but I never serve for once or at once, only once. Okay, so he has read that book once, él ha leído ese libro una vez, and then I give extra clarification for 1 hour, una vez por una hora. All right, and you can do the same here. You can say, she has played tennis 3 times for 2 hours. All right, that's the only way in which you can mix both. If not, it's going to be directly 3 times, or it's going to be directly with that change that you told me for 3 weeks, for 3 hours, and so on and so forth. All right, but I'm showing you this one so that you can see that you can use both expressions, number of times and period of time, but only if you use it in this way. All right, first the period of time, first the number of times, and then the clarification of the extension of the time, that it's the duration more or less. All right, just that one, Karen. Do you have any questions about that alternative? Let me know, please.
no.
Okay, good. There you go. So as you can see, then it's not hard, but now to finish today, we need to take a look at the exceptions. And actually, I'm going to write exceptions here. If I say this, I am your friend, right? Imagine that I'm drunk, all right? Imagine que estoy borracho y te pregunto, right? Hey, Karen, I'm your friend. What is the exact question for this one? What do you say? What could it be?
Aren't I?
One more time, please.
I don't know.
Okay. I think you were about to say the correct answer. Try. What could it be? Give me some options.
Aren't I?
Yes, it is correct. And this is an exception, right? Why? Because aren't is not the negative of am, but am doesn't have a negative form that is contracted, right? That's why this is an exception. Okay, exception. It means that you're going to lend, you're going to borrow, te vas a prestar, right? You're going to borrow are from other conjugations, and here it's going to be aren't I, right? Let's keep going. This is imperative, okay? Imperative, right? Do your homework. So what is the question for imperative? Do your homework.
Don't you?
All right, that seems the obvious, right? Because you say do your homework, then it's don't do your homework, then it must be don't, right? But actually, this is also an exception. You either use don't because that's like only for simple present, all right? But in imperative, you use something that is weird. That is going to be, remember, what do you use for requests? There is something that you use for requests, that it's a model.
For request, no.
That
Ask?
we covered that one. We covered that one in the lesson for future.
Would?
Uh, would is also one, but if it's future, then it's going to be will. All right. So you have to use the requests for future over here. All right. So it's going to be will you, or as they are going to show you afterwards, it can be also negative, but will you is going to be good. We have more. What about this one? Let's go. What is the tag question for that one? It's a very weird model that perhaps you heard about it. But what is a model that involves only the two of us? What could it be? It's a weird model again, but perhaps you heard it.
Let's.
What could it be? Because there's another way to ask something so that we can do something together, and it's weird, all right? But it's going to be this weird word, and it's always going to be we, all right? So here, sorry, it's always you, because the imperative is always you, and here is always we, because the let is always for two of us, right? So do your homework, will you, only you. Let's go, shall we? All right, and again, there's no translation here. The only translation in your mind has to be right, correct. Okay, so it's only confirmation of something. And in this case, in these two cases, Karen, it's not like confirmation, it's only emphasis. Okay, do your homework, will you? Is like saying, haz tu tarea, ¿sí? Like saying something like that, right? So let's go, shall we? Vamos, yeah? All right, so it's like those words, but again, you don't say yeah and see, right, in English. You don't say yes, you don't say do your homework, yes, or let's go, yes. No, you say do your homework, will you? Let's go, shall we? Let's eat, shall we? Let's dance, shall we? Again, confirmation, and in order to be more polite. Okay, so we're only going to read that one. We already worked on those exceptions then, but let's read these examples as well, please, Guy.
Do your homework, will you? Imperative. Let's play poker, shall we? Recommendation. If I am your friend, aren't I? First person singular.
Good. There you go, right? The same examples. Okay, take that into account because again, these are exceptions. There is no tag question for those elements. That's why they need to lend words. Okay, that's lending words or borrowing words from other structures. That's the exception, and that's it for this lesson. Then we have negative questions, but again, that's something that we don't have to cover here. It's only something that you also ask to check for information, right? It's very similar to a yes to a tag question, Karen, but you use this one in only one question, not in a tag question, to verify that this is correct or not. And again, the way to answer these questions is the same way as you ask a yes-no questions. All right, so this is extra, but let's read it to finish, please,
Aren't use negative yes no question to check information. We expect the answer to be yes. Aren't you the new recruit, recruiter? Don't you like this movie? Didn't you travel to Bolivia last month? Haven't you gone to that place twice already?
Correct, right? So we expect the answer to be yes. This was correct. We're going to repeat this word, please, Karen. This T a little bit more like the, like recruiter, recruiter,
Recruiter.
recruiter. Recruiter is the person that selects and recruits new personnel, right? If you go to an enterprise, the recruiter is going to interview you, right? The recruiter is going to ask you questions. So, why do you want to work with us? What do you want to do here? What are you going to give us, right, as a professional here? And blah, 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 right? So it's a set of questions that they are going to ask you to see if they are going to hire you, contratarte, or not, right? That's the new recruiter. So here, you know, or you kind of know that he or she is the new recruiter. So you say, aren't you the new recruiter? And he's going to say, yes, I am. Don't you like this movie? Yes, I do. I love it. Didn't you travel to Bolivia last month? Yes, I did. In fact, I did. Haven't you gone to that place twice already? Yes, I have. Right? So you expect a yes. But of course, you can receive a no, and that's going to be something that you don't expect, but they are going to add new information, right? So what are some yes, no, sorry, negative questions that you can ask me? Karen, ask me three, please, negative questions, only in speaking. One in present, one in past, and one in future. Something that you suppose that I'm going to say yes.
The when you are sick.
Good, close, close, but remember to be sick is with the verb to be. So instead of don't you, it's going to be aren't. Aren't you sick? Right?
Yes.
Aren't you sick? Good. So one more time, please.
Aren't you sick?
Yes, yes, I am. I'm very sick. The next one, please, in past.
Mm, did did you teach English for many years?
Okay, good. Yes, yes, I did. In fact, I did. The last one in future.
Haven't you played the guitar in a concert?
Yes, yes, I have. Good. And that is correct, but that's also past, right? It is correct. Good. Haven't you played the guitar in a concert? Yes, yes, I have. Now, one more then, but this time it has to be future. How would it be in future?
With one?
Correct, can be with want, or remember that future is also with be going to. So it can be with aren't, but you need aren't you going to, and then the future idea, right? Or with won't you, and the future idea.
Okay. Are you going to?
And remember that it has to be a negative question.
Aren't you going to Brazil? Brazil this year?
All right, good. Only one thing is missing. That if that's the question, it is okay, but that's a question in the present continuous, right? If you want that question to be future with be going to, you need to add one more verb in the base verb, right? So it's going to be, aren't you going to go, right? Aren't you going to go to Brazil this year? All right. And I can say, perhaps not. I think that next year, but this year I think that I'm not going to go yet. All right, good. Very good. Now, my turn. And with this, we close. The first one, don't you live in Tarija?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Uh, weren't you in class last Wednesday?
Yes, I were.
Close, but remember, if it's were, it's because of you. But if it's I, it's going to be was.
Yes, I was.
Yes, I was exactly right. With the same with are, right? Aren't you sick? Yes, I am, right? So I need to change the verb to be according to the conjugation. Only the verb to be. Good. In future, I don't know. So I'm going to make up something, guys. All right. So I'm going to say, um, won't you travel? Okay, kind of the same. Won't you travel to Cochabamba next month?
Next month. Yes, I will.
Okay, good, very good. And that's it. All right, present, past, future, questions in negative, just to verify and to check information. And again, if you realize, they have the same purpose as the questions, because the questions also want to verify information, like we can see over there. All right, but that's it. Here you have, as always, extra links to practice. Karen, in case you have questions about tag questions or negative questions, you can practice over there. Let me know if you have questions about this lesson or comments or anything, Karen, please.
Oh, teacher, what's the meaning of the word shall? Shall?
Shall is something that we don't use anymore. Shall is very close to deberíamos, or something like yes, only like deberíamos, but not in the sense of suggestion. All right, you only use shall when you want to ask a question and you are involved in that question. All right, so it's like, shall we go? Is like saying, deberíamos ir, or simply it can be translated like vamos. Okay, that's why it doesn't have a specific translation. If you say let's go, and if you say shall we go, it's the same. Okay, in both cases, shall and let are giving the idea that both of you are involved. Right? That's why there's no specific translation. Sometimes they translate that as a deberías, but more than that, it's only a proposition in which you are involved. Okay. Also, if you say, shall we go to the party? It's like saying, vamos a la fiesta, but in form of question. All right. So again, it's the same if you say, let's go to the party. And if you ask, shall we go to the party? Let's go eat something. Shall we eat something? The translation in Spanish is going to be the same, only that vamos. All right. Only that idea. What else? Any other words, Karen? Just let me know, please.
If I use shall with the example with let's, let's play. If I use shall play, the second part is let's we.
No, because shall is always going to be a question. Okay, shall is not going to be a sentence. So again, it's going to be the same as let's, but shall is going to be always a question. Okay, so this is my idea. You can say let's go, but if you say shall, you're going to say shall we go, and both are the same. Okay, but remember, you only use tag questions with sentences, and shall is not going to be a sentence. All right, that's why you cannot use tag questions with shall. All right. Okay, good. That's why it's not going to be the opposite. Only in this case, it's going to be in this way, but it's not possible to have it in the inverted way. All right. And only one more. And again, this is very old. I don't know if you watched the Lord of the Rings, right? El Señor de los Anillos. If you watch that in English, right? When I think it's Gandalf, right? When Gandalf is not letting the monster go behind the hobbits, he screams, right? He says, you shall not pass. All right, and it's the same as will in that case. Okay, so shall is also a very old way to say will or future. All right, and again, that's very formal and that's very antique. All right, very old. So you can say you shall not go or you will not go, and it's the same. All right, but again, it's weird. You're not going to hear people using shall in conversations. You're only going to read that in books, or you're only going to listen to that in movies. Okay, but that's also one way of shall. Got it. What else? What do you say?
Only.
Okay, good. So that's going to be it. All right, that's going to be it then for now. Let's finish the class over here. As always, Karen, I'm going to ask you to fill out the survey. Let me know when you do it, please. And that's it. Remember that you have until next week to complete the unit and until Tuesday to take the third quiz. And also you're going to start the fourth one because next week is kind of the last week. We have 2 extra days, but that's only going to be for conversations. All right, good. So that's it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience because I was sick and I was having a lot of pauses and interruptions. Okay, so thanks for that. All right. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy it and see you on Monday. All right. Bye bye.
How can I say I espero que se recupere? I hope.
I hope you feel better soon or you get better. That's recuperarse. I hope you get better soon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Gary.
Bye, teacher.
Thank you. Bye bye.